Nice snazzy red coaching top, by the way. Looks like Puma have looked after you guys this year, but the new season, it is upon us. What's the emotions in the dressing room at the moment? Nervousness, excitement, just glad to finally have football back?
Yeah, I think a bit of everything, to be honest with you. As you know, we have one of the longest pre-seasons in the world here. So, after 3 months, here we are, and we're excited for obviously the challenge tomorrow and the game tomorrow. That's what it's all about. But like you said, I'm sure there's a lot of emotions going into tomorrow. But we're excited for this.
Your squad heading into tomorrow, what's their state of fitness? Do you have a full squad to select from? Is there anybody still nursing any niggles that they'll have to be brought along with?
No, everyone is well, which is good. So, we can pick who we think is available for obviously tomorrow's game, and we'll do that later today. But everyone has pulled up okay after today's session.
Nice to see you, Patrick. Good to get the season underway again, I'm sure, as you said. The new signings, can we expect to see those three boys tomorrow? Richard, Thomas, etc.
Yeah, look, potentially. I've always been one of those that I'll play players who I think that are ready, and they've had a good pre-season, a hard one, different for them, but they've managed, which is good. But like you said, I'll need to have a look at everything, analyse everything, and I can make my final decision later today for tomorrow. But they've all pulled up okay, they've done well, and they're ready to go.
You're obviously very committed and dedicated to your playing style, Patrick. We've seen that over the last couple of seasons. Do we expect anything different this season, albeit with some new personnel?
Time will tell. Me, I don't give away a lot. But yeah, I think as a young coach, you always want to evolve and get better. And the first things first, you look at yourself and see how you can get better, and then you try and do that within the collective and team structure as well. So, look, we train some things that we have, and who knows? Maybe there will be something new. Maybe there won't. I'm not going to give that away yet. But there's always that involvement as a coach to always be better.
I guess what have those three new boys brought in terms of their qualities or different things they can add?
Look, I think first and foremost, when we bring players into this club, they have to be good people, and all of them are great people. We check on that before we even sign or think of bringing anyone in. So they're a fantastic character. They're all different. Valon is different to Richard and obviously Thomas, but one thing they bring, which is a collective, is they bring experience, playing in Europe. So, that's one thing you can be sure of, that they're experienced players that have played, in 3 different leagues. And we're very fortunate to have them.
PK, who starts at right back? You brought Callum Talbot in. He's been playing in the pre-season quite a bit. You've also got Scott Galloway there. Who are you leaning towards heading into week 1?
Oh, you have to find out tomorrow.
No hints?
No hints.
No hints whatsoever. Cool.
Okay, obviously, grand final rematch. I was just curious how much the decider from last year is spoken about or used at all during the pre-season.
Look, I think I'm sure as individuals we had time to reflect on obviously the last game in our own time. So I'm sure the individuals have done that, but it wasn't mentioned too much. I've always been that one for to succeed, sometimes you need to fail, and I don't call the grand final a failure, but I call it a learning moment, or because you don't win everything, but the fact that we've been there 3 years in a row for everything, it says a lot about our group. But yeah, look, it's a learning experience, and hopefully we can grow from that because, again, tough moments sometimes, turn out in a better way, and hopefully we can use that for us.
PK, you've got a number of Socceroos in your squad. The season will get 6 weeks in before Graham Arnold names his team for the World Cup. Has that come up in the pre-season, these boys' desire to put their best foot forward and impress Arnie before he names his squad?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, to be honest. I think, you might see a shock here and there, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Every player has a certain amount of time. I'm sure, Graham has, plays in mind. But also I'm sure there's players that are maybe outside that group that he might think of as well. I'm not saying he said that anything to me, but what I'm saying is it's not maybe, there might be a surprise, in that. All I say is that, every player is always up for selection for the national team no matter what, whether you've been on camp or you haven't. Everyone in this country has 6 weeks to impress the national team coach, and at the end of the day, he'll pick what he's suited and best for, Australia in the World Cup. Even though, we've had players go, in the last games, but, I'm sure, there could be, a surprise packet in there, be like that Cole, who came from left field sort of thing. And, so it just shows that, everyone, is available for selection.
Are there any of your boys that you'd be backing to stage a late surprise push and force their way into the team?
I don't know about backing. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I work with these players, every day. But, in the day, Graham has, a lot of teams to pick from, a lot of players to pick from, and, I'm sure he'll get it right with the selections that he does.
So, Becca, you mentioned learning from last year's grand final. What, I guess, specific lessons, and Jamo spoke yesterday, I guess, being about maybe this year being better in one-off games. Is that a lesson you kind of took from the decided last year? I guess anything particularly relevant to Western United, given you're playing this week, and they're a pretty similar looking squad.
Yeah, look, I think if you look at our journey over the last couple of years, obviously in Australia, it's the one-off games that also hold relevance instead of a 26-game season. And sometimes on the day you win and lose, and what we've tried to do, I think, is not trying to shy away from that. We've sort of understood that, and how can we learn off these one-off games if we ever are in a situation like that again. And we've put our best foot forward and trying to learn from that and do that, even though obviously it's the first game of the season tomorrow. But we know we're going to take every game one by one, and we're taking off as a one-off game.
Just on Jamo, I think 300 games is a fair achievement. You work with him closer than probably just about anyone. What is it about this guy that's made him be able to keep up this quality for so long?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, he's fantastic, in amongst the group and around the club, and he's a club person, which we are very lucky to have. But what I would say is, as the seasons have gone on and the harder it gets, he's always the one that's always at the forefront and at the front of everything. And I think that's what a leader is. He hasn't let his age determine what he does, and he's taken that upon himself and tried to always improve and get better. And we've all been at that stage of as you get older. But he's one of those that's always led from the front, and you can always learn and improve at any age, and he's really done that. And what we're very lucky is that he leads with that amongst other players as well. But we're talking about Jamo here, but he's done that, and he's always put his first and front foot forward and led from the front, which we're lucky to have. And what an honour to play 300 games at any level, and it's a real proud moment for him and his family.